Yeah.
No one in this country can guard me.
Can guide you.
Yeah,
Okay.
all useless.
You're all useless.
Yeah.
Just here in South Africa.
No one on earth can guard me.
No one?
On earth can guard me.
No one on earth can guide
No,
you. Okay.
I'm done.
Okay, perfect. Good. How did the car braces go? Okay. Nose to nose.
At some point during my ACL rehab journey, I watched a video. I watched Stefan Diggs docuseries on YouTube about his ACL rehab, and I didn't even watch it to get an understanding of what he was going through or anything like that. I just watched it to get ideas for the documentary I wanted to do, But watching that every single day, like a new episode come out, or even watching the same episode every single day for the next few weeks got me into a place where I learned so much from just watching that every day. Not just about how to make a documentary, but getting better and understanding the ACL rehab journey. And I think one of the major things I learned or related to in his docuseries came from episode 1, where he says he already tore his ACL. He's already done the easy part. He tore his ACL. He's had his surgery, and now all that's left to do is for him to trust the doctors and trust that his physiotherapists, his biochemists are going to do the best they can do to get him back on the field as best as he can be, as best as possible. Not even as soon as possible, as best as possible. And for me, that just speaking to the point of not as soon as possible, but as best as possible, kind of just lets me think about rushing and why we shouldn't rush the process, because it's not a thing of getting back as soon as possible. As I've said for, I think that might be the last time, but not getting back as soon as possible, but as best as possible. Because I feel like when you try to rush the process, or when I try to rush the process, it kind of gives me the sense that, hey, I'm not trusting in God enough, I'm not trusting in God's plan. Because it does get to a point where you get injured, and a lot of the best opportunities you might see right now are coming up in that window where you're still rehabbing, you're still injured. Like the USA tournaments, the basketball camps, all of those big tournaments and camps are happening in that time where you're rehabbing, in the time where you're injured. And you're trying to rush back to get to play. If you're trying to rush back to get to play in those tournaments, it's kind of like a thing of, hey, I don't trust God's plan. Like, yes, I'm injured, and I'm injured in this time for a reason. Like, I'm not going to play that tournament. Like, I should be able to understand that, yes, if I'm not good by that time, I won't play that tournament, and I should be okay with that, purely because of a point of understanding that God's going to get me. God's doing it for a reason at the end of the day. The reason could be anything, but when you get to a point where you trust God's work in your life, and you've been in His word, you get into His word every single day. You work with Him every single day. You pray to Him every single day. You gotta trust His process, not yours, not your process where you're rushing to get back on the court so you can start hooping and proving to everybody what you want to prove to them. You gotta trust God's process and know that He's gonna get you in the right places at the right time, and whether that's being injured for 9 to 12 months, maybe even longer if it has to. But you gotta understand that when you are good and when you're the best you can be, you're working towards the best you can be, and when you get there, after I don't know how long it's gonna take you, but you're gonna get there eventually. And once you get there, you're just gonna understand why God did what He did for you. It might be a bigger tournament. You might go into the next tournament with a better mindset. Whereas if you went in there this year, you wouldn't have known the things you know, you wouldn't have seen the things you've seen. But you know, now throughout this ACL rehab, you're working on your mind, you're working on your mental, you're working on your relationship with God, and now everything else is improving. You're getting better, you're becoming a better man, you're becoming a better brother, you're becoming a better uncle, you're becoming a better cousin, son, whatever it is, you know, you're becoming better at that because of how you're growing mentally throughout this ACL rehab process. And that all just comes from trusting in God and allowing Him to do what He needs to do. You know, as long as you do what you need to do as well, whereas in you're working with Him, you're trusting Him, you're following Him, He's gonna make sure that He keeps His promises, because we know that everything God does is to prosper us. So when you trust God's plan, you get to a point where you're gonna see 2-3 months, or let's say 9-12 months down the line. Could be 2 years, could be 3 years. I know people who've been injured for 3 years, and you gotta understand that at the end of that rehab process, God's gonna have you exactly where you need to be, and you're gonna understand. You're gonna want to be in the exact place where I put you. You're not even gonna think about, hey, what if I played in that tournament a few years ago? What if I went to that camp a few years ago? Because the place where you are is probably a lot better than where you could have been if you were. Or no, the place where you're gonna be is definitely gonna be a lot better than where you would have wanted to be, where you would have rushed to be, you know. And that's my take on getting back as best as possible rather than as soon as possible.